So dear students, we will take custom and its essentials. General meaning of custom. Custom is a bona fide practice or usage which is observed by a group of people in a general form from generation to generation, and the origin of such particular usage or the rule which is followed by the group of people, it is unknown. The custom, it is the habitual course of conduct which is uniformly and voluntarily observed by a group of people, any community or a tribe. The term custom, it means achara or a usage or traditionally followed long practice by the member of any community, one or more society, from generation to generation, from time immemorial. So the next is definition of custom. The term custom, it has been defined in a different ways by the different jurists, but in this class we will take only the three major definitions. The first is by the Austin, then Holland and Carter. The definition of the custom given by the Austin is: the custom is a rule of conduct which the bond observes simultaneously and not in pursuance of the law settled by political superior. So the Austin is saying it is a rule of conduct which govern the people simultaneously with the law which is settled by the political superior person. So the political superior person, they settled the law in the form of legislation. So Austin is saying it is a rule of conduct which govern the people simultaneously with the legislation. Second definition, it is given by the Holland. It is the simplest definition. So Holland has defined the custom as: custom, it is the generally observed course of conduct. The third definition which we are taking, that is the definition given by the Carter. So the Carter has defined the custom that custom is the uniformity of the conduct of all persons under like circumstances. So these are the three definitions of custom. Now we will take the legal definition of the term custom. There are so many pieces of legislations in which the custom has been defined. So custom, it is defined in section 3A of Hindu Marriage Act 1955, section 3 clause A of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956, section 3D of Hindu Succession Act 1956. So these are the particular legislations in which the term custom, it has been defined in the definition part. So we will take the one definition, that is section 3D of Hindu Succession Act 1956. So section 3D of Hindu Succession Act, it defines the custom or usage as any rule which has been continuously and uniformly observed for a long time and has obtained the force of law among Hindus in any local area, tribe, community, group or family. So this is the main part of the definition. Along with that, the proviso, it is also there in section 3D. So in the proviso, what is there? That the rule must be certain, it should not be unreasonable or opposed to the public policy, and it is provided further that in case if a rule it is applicable to a family only, this is telling about the family custom, then it has not been discontinued by that family in the similar circumstances. So what is the definition? Now the main part of the definition given in section 3D, it covers all the essentials that custom or usage, it signifies any rule which has been continuously and uniformly observed for a long period of time, which has obtained the force of law among Hindus in any particular local area, tribe, community, group or family. Along with that, the proviso is also there. The proviso is that the rule which is going to become a custom or usage, it must be certain, it should not be unreasonable or opposed to the public policy, as well as if there is any rule which is followed by the family, it should not be discontinued by the members of that family in the similar circumstances. Then only the rule become a custom. Essential requisite of the custom. The essentials requirement which are required to be fulfilled by any usage or tradition to become a custom, that is, that the particular usage or the tradition, it must be ancient enough, it must be followed by any community, any family or a tribe from time immemorial. The second is, this particular rule or principle or tradition, it must have been followed continuously, and whenever the similar situation it arises, the custom or the particular usage it has been followed. It must be reasonable. It should not cause any injustice to any particular section of the society or any particular members of the society. The usage and tradition, they must be in accordance to the morality, in accordance to the public policy, as well as the usage and tradition, this must not be contrary to the any statutory law prevailing in the society. So if all these essentials they are fulfilled by any particular usage or tradition, then only it will get the enforceability and it will be recognized as a custom in a particular society. So the next is kinds of custom. Custom, it is divided into two main categories: the custom without sanction and the custom with sanction. Custom without sanctions, they are not obligatory as well as they are not enforceable. They are followed due to the pressure of the society and they are acknowledged as the general norms of the society. It includes your positive morality. The second category we have, that is custom with sanction. The custom with sanction, it is further divided into two subcategories: legal custom and conventional custom. The legal custom is further divided into the subcategory local custom and the general custom. The first kind of the custom is custom without sanctions. The custom without sanctions, they include the rules which arises out of the general opinion in a particular group of people, a community or a tribe. These are followed in a community due to the societal pressure. There is no obligatory force behind it. They are non-enforceable. They arises out of the public opinion. They are followed in a particular society because they are acknowledged as a general norm of that society. Some of the examples of the custom without sanction is, the every society they have the custom about how to dress up. For example, some of the pictures they are depicted here, they showed the different type of the dress up which is there in the different culture within India. For example, in the Himachal or the northern part, they are having the culture to wear the caps as well as the woolen shawls. They are draped themselves in the woolen shawls. But if you see in the eastern area or in the Sikkim, the wearing the dress up is totally different. In Kerala or the southern part, they used to wear the dhoti, or they used to wear the females, they used to wear the sari. So these are the particular rules which are framed within the society itself, that how to dress up in that particular community. And it is the custom without sanction. The second example of the custom without sanction is how to conduct the different type of rituals in the society. For example, the marriage rituals, for example, funeral processions, the birthday of a particular child. All these particular rituals, they are decided within the community by the general opinion, and later on by the practice it becomes the custom without the sanction. For example, in case of the Sikh, they used to practice their marriage in the form of Anand Karaj. They used to take the 4 steps of the Guru Granth Sahib, that is known as Anand Karaj, and it is totally different from the Hindu society. In case of Hindu society, there is a Datta home, the Havan is done, and there is the 7 steps of the 7 steps they are taken of the holy fire. If you see there in the Muslim society, the tradition is totally different. They used to have a Ijab u Kabul, they used to give an offer. The boy used to give an offer to the marriage and it is kabuled by the bride. It is the commencement of marriage. Similarly, in the Christian, there will be the marriage in the front of the priest in the church. So these are the different type of the rituals, how the marriage it is solemnized in the different communities. So this is the custom without sanction, which arises out of the public opinion. They are non-enforceable and they are having the tremendous importance in a particular society, and it is followed uniformly in order to have in order to maintain a cohesion between the society. So the next is custom with a sanction. This is the second type of the custom. The custom with a sanction, it includes all the rules and the usage which are backed by the punishment. If any person of the community, they don't follow these particular rules or usage, they are subjected to the particular punishment. The customs are the enforceable. These customs are enforceable. They are implemented by the state, and these rules, they are upheld in the judicial pronouncements. So I will give some examples of the custom with a sanction. The first example of the custom with a sanction, that is the concept of acknowledgement of paternity. Among Muslims, the adoption, it is not acknowledged. Under Muslim law, the adoption, it is not taken as a valid concept. There cannot be the adoption by any Muslim under Muslim law. But the concept of acknowledgement of paternity is there. Now, what is the meaning of term acknowledgement of paternity? Acknowledgement of paternity, it means a declaration on the part of a Muslim person that a child is his legitimate child from the date or time of declaration. So this is known as acknowledgement of paternity, through which the other child can be taken in a family among Muslims. And this particular custom, it is recognized in the different pronouncements. So one of the case in which the acknowledgement of paternity, it is acknowledged as a valid custom, that is Sadiq Hussain versus Hasim Ali, 1960, 43 volume, IA, page number 212. So this is the first example of custom with a sanction. One more example is there. So among Hindus, the child who can be given in adoption, the maximum age of the child who can be given in adoption, that is 15 years. But there are the Jat community among Punjab and Haryana. Among Jat community of Punjab and Haryana, there is a valid custom that they can adopt their own son-in-law. Now this adoption, it is only in those cases where the particular couple, they are not having the biological son, they are only having the daughters. So in order to preserve their own land, they don't want their land to be alienated among their legal heirs. So the practice, it prevails in that community that they used to adopt their own son-in-law. And the son-in-law which is adopted, he is more than 15 years. But this adoption, it is taken as a valid adoption by the judicial decisions, and different disputes, they are decided on the basis of this particular custom with sanction. So in those particular disputes where the legal heirs, they claim the property that it should not be alienated to that particular son-in-law as it is not a valid adoption, the judgment, it is given that the adoption, it is a valid adoption and it is a legal custom there, and the alienation which is done towards the son-in-law, that is also valid. So it is the second example of the custom with the sanction. The third example, it is the similar custom, it prevails among the Muslim community also, and the term it is used, that is resident son-in-law or khana damad or ghar jamai. So what is that custom? In the Gujar Muslims of the western Punjab, there is a custom that they used to have their son-in-law, they used to stay in their particular houses. So the son-in-law, he is the resident son-in-law, and all the property rights and other rights of the son, it get arise from the factum of that particular custom. So this custom, it is also recognized as a custom with sanction, and this custom, it is recognized in the oldest judicial pronouncement. And what is that judicial pronouncement? Fateh Alam versus Ghulam Sara, AIR 1933, Lahore, page number 187. In this particular case, it is declared that the resident son-in-law is having the right of a son, and such custom, it is declared as a valid custom. So the custom with a sanction, it is further divided into two subcategories, the legal custom and the conventional custom. And the legal custom, it is further divided into two more subcategories, the local custom and the general custom. So the next we have legal custom. Legal custom, it is a type of the custom with a sanction. These are the customs which are recognized by the law and they are enforceable. So one of the example we have already discussed, that is the acknowledgement of paternity among Muslims. And the second example is Saptapati. So Saptapati, it is an essential ceremonial requirement for a valid Hindu marriage and it is given under section 7 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. So in order to acknowledge or in order to prove a valid Hindu marriage, then in that case there must be the taking of 7 steps by the bride and groom. If this custom it is prevalent in either of the community belonging to the bride or groom. So this is a legal custom. So the next is conventional custom. Conventional custom, it is also known as usage. It is the outcome of the express or implied agreements which are done by the members of the society, and its practice it is also conditional. The practice of these conventional custom it depends upon the agreement which is entered by the members as well as their acceptance to it. So they are also known as usage, conventional custom. They are the outcome of the agreement between the parties to it. So the next we have the stages of the custom. There are 4 main stages of the custom. The first is fad, the second is fashion, then usage, and the last is custom. So what is fad? The fad is when the act it is practiced by a certain member of the society, certain group of the society. This act it has been made as an obligatory rule to be followed by the people of the lower status of the society, by the people who are of a good social status. So the act when practiced by a certain group of people which is made by the higher status of the members of the higher social status, that is known as fad. So the fad it goes into the second stage, that is fashion, if that particular act it is practiced for a long period of time. If there is a practice for a long period of time, then the fad it gets changed into fashion. So the fashion, the third stage is usage. When the fashion it goes into the third stage, when the fashion it remains uninterrupted, it is observed as such for a long period of time, then in that case the fashion get changed into the usage. And the last we are having that is custom. So when the usage it will become custom or it will enter into the stage of custom when all the other essential requirement of the custom they are fulfilled by the usage and it is used from time immemorial. So these are the 4 stages: fad, fashion, usage and custom. Fad it is the act practiced by certain members of society. When it is practiced for a very long period of time it becomes fashion, and when it is practiced for a long period of time and it is not interrupted, it is followed as such, then it becomes usage. The usage will ripen into custom, it will get its enforceability if all the other essentials of the customs they are fulfilled by the usage. The source of law, the custom it is recognized as a source of law as a part of legislation as well as some judicial decisions they are on the basis of the custom of particular community. So some of the custom which are recognized as a part of law, it includes your Saptapati. The Saptapati it is included in your section 7 of Hindu Marriage Act and it is incorporated in a legislation itself. So here the custom now it becomes a part of legislation. So the custom it is also a part of judicial precedent. For example, there is a community, the Jat community in the Punjab, they are having the custom which is acknowledged in the judicial precedent in which they can adopt their own son-in-law. And if you see the Hindu Marriage Act, in the Hindu Marriage Act, there cannot be the adoption of a child more than 15 years. But this custom in which the person is more than 15 years own son-in-law is taken in adoption in order to preserve their property, and the property will go to their own child, to their daughter. So this is the 2 ways in which the custom they are acknowledged as a source of law. So now we will discuss the theories of transformation of the custom into law. There are two main theories. The one is historical theory and the second is analytical theory. The historical theory, it is given by Savigny, Blackstone. The main exponents, that is the Savigny, Blackstone and Many. These are the philosophers who has given the historical theory of the custom. So according to them, the growth of law does not depend upon the will of any individual or a will of any group of people. It is the outcome of the consciousness of the particular people or the group of people in the society. It springs from or it's come out from the inner sense that what is right and what is wrong. So the law, it is having the existence. In the historical theory, they are saying the custom will become the law if that particular custom, it is practiced from time immemorial and there is a general will of the people that it must be observed, and if observation is not there by the people, there will be the punishment by the society itself. So the growth of these customs, they are not the result of the any particular acknowledgement by any particular group of people, but it is the outcome of the inner self or inner consciousness as well as the tentative practice. Now the next is analytical theory. So in analytical theory of the custom, in which the custom it ripens into law, the main exponent, that is the Austin. So according to the Austin, the custom, it is not law in itself. They are saying it is not law in itself. It can be a source of law, and it can only ripen into law when it become a part of a written law, when it is acknowledged by the legislators and it becomes the part of any statute or act. Then only the custom can transform into law. So these are the two main theory: historical theory, where the custom can turn out into the law of society if there is a general consciousness or general spirit for it, that the people they want to adopt it. And the second is analytical theory. And in case of analytical theory, the Austin said that custom is not a law. It has to be recognized as a law. It has to be incorporated in the part of law. For example, the Saptapati, which is incorporated in the Hindu Marriage Act.